Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
This is Sparkle and Inspire with Cindy Harrison.
And Melissa Reyes.
And this morning we have with us a special guest. Her name is Kathryn Costa, and she is the author of the Mandala Guidebook.
Hey, everybody.
How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm a little tired. I made the mistake of drinking coffee yesterday at 3 p.m., which means I did not sleep well, and I was up most of the night. But that gave me a chance to get some work done in preparation for my official book launch.
So let's see. First, before we go on, I just want to kind of say how we all met. So I met Kathryn through her website, 100mandalas.com, about 2.5 years ago. And I was searching online on Google for a mandala template that I could use for a workshop I was giving. And I found the website, and it was pretty neat. And I put the link on my blog. And before I knew it, I was interacting with Kathryn. She answers her emails herself. She's on Facebook, because she had a great group, and I kind of followed her a little bit from afar. And then this past year, I dove in. I made it one of my intentions to join the 100 Mandala Challenge, and I started drawing mandalas and watching her videos and participating in her groups. And just think, it's changed my life a lot because of my art. I've met wonderful people like Cindy, and then it turns out that Cindy lives near Kathryn and was able to meet her in person.
Yeah, just
so
last week.
Tell us finally. Tell me how that was like. What that was like.
It was fun. It was really great. I went to where you were having in Bedford. It's not that far away, and it was a talk about how you wrote a book.
Yeah, it was a talk for the New Hampshire Craft Workers Guild, and it was held at the Bedford Public Library. They have some meeting rooms, and so they have 3 times a year, they invite people to come in, and it's an educational program for these crafts workers. And so they were curious to hear about my journey, about how I got published, and what that process was like, what was the timeline, why did I go with a traditional publisher versus self-publishing. And so I gave them all of everything I knew and all the details about my experience. So I had a presentation, and then afterwards answered lots of great questions, and I had books available for sale. So it was an opportunity to sell some books and sign them and get to know people. And Cindy showed up, and before I even got things set up, came over and introduced herself. And it was really cool because, here Cindy did not know me before. I think it was just a couple days before that event, and learned about me from you, Melissa, and you are all the way in California. So it's pretty neat to meet a neighbor through a distant friend.
Right.
It's a real unique situation, the way we all connected, because I feel like I know Kathryn, although I've never met you in person. Yeah. And Cindy and I work together. We're partners with her show here, and we've never met in person.
Yeah. And
I was asking the two of you to meet, in real life. Never even met me in person. So
yeah.
It was really neat. But I got pictures and virtual hugs, and Cindy got a book signed for me, which she won't show me the inscription. She's going to give it to me when I see her in June. We're going to meet in June in San Diego. So I'm just, it's really fun. And now here we are.
Yeah, surprises are fun. So I'm glad you're waiting on that.
Well, I don't wait on a lot of things.
And Cindy likes to say she's going to surprise me and then tell me what it is, but she's been really good so far.
That's great.
But no, it was exciting.
Go to let's see, I'm losing my train of thought here for a second. Hold on.
I got to comment a little bit about this platform because I am new to it. It sort of reminds me of Hollywood Squares. Remember that game?
Yes.
I can't believe you said that, because I'm doing a Hollywood Squares game show on this show.
It's totally perfect for that. I love it.
Yeah.
I think we should do Hollywood Squares.
Oh, maybe you'd like to be in one of our squares, Kathryn. That'd be fun.
Oh, it would be fun. Yeah.
You're doing it Tuesday night, right, Melissa?
Yeah, I'm going to start it on Tuesday night. So on Tuesday nights, I have a show called Tinseltown where I interview people. We've talked about it. And Kathryn will be a guest on that show eventually once the book thing has gone, We'll go back and talk about all her experience being a superstar with her book. And then at Superstar. And so then at the end, I'm going to start doing kind of like Late Night with Jimmy Fallon, where he plays a game with his guests.
Yeah.
And so this Tuesday, we're going to try doing Hollywood Squares.
I love that.
Tinseltown Squares.
Nice.
Now, I have a question.
All right.
How is it that you got, you're going to have an interview with Melissa, and I don't want to preempt that, but how is it that you got into mandalas? I mean, it's not a new art form. It's an ancient art form, right?
Oh, yeah. It's been around forever. I first learned about it about 18 years ago. I was working at a high school. I was a graphic design teacher, and the art teacher on faculty, her name's Kelly Cody. She went to art school, and her background was as an art therapist. And in her studies, she had learned about mandalas and the work of Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist. And so she shared with me what a mandala is and how I could facilitate mandala projects. And so actually my very first mandala was, I didn't even create it. I facilitated the experience with I had 17 to 18 students, and so I gave them a large piece of paper. I gave them a very simplistic explanation of what a mandala was. It had a big circle drawn in it, and I said, you guys can decide as a group what you're going to do in that space. And it turned out to be an incredibly strong bonding opportunity for them. Now, these students came from various backgrounds and cliques, and they admitted while they were working on it that they would never hang out with one another. But in the end, there was such a cohesiveness with this group, which is great because I had them for 2 years, and we met every other day in a double block. So that was a long period. I think it was like a 3-hour time frame with a lunch break in there. So it was just it showed me how the idea of creating a circular design can bring people together and create community. Now, for me personally, I didn't really pursue it intentionally and for many years, but the mandala kept showing up in my work. And from time to time, I'd be like, okay, I want to do something very similar to what Carl Jung did, which was to create a mandala each day and to see how that circle design reflected where he was at emotionally and what stories were coming up for him. And so it was in October of 2014, I decided, hey, I was going to give myself the challenge to create 100 mandalas in 100 days. And having had many people over the previous 6 years at that point follow me, I thought I would invite my friends online to join the challenge. And so that's kind of what got things started to where we are now.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
When I met you last week, I had said to you, I believe I said this out loud, that Zentangle or Zen doodling or whatever, because it's trademarked, became popular a few years ago, and I tried to do it, and it to me is chaotic. I just can't get into that, and it's to me very chaotic. It has no rhyme or reason to it. It just is. And yet when Melissa introduced me to mandalas, which I knew the art form was not something new, however, it's trending again.
Oh yeah.
And it's coming up everywhere, and in those adult coloring books and stuff. So how would you, or could you even explain why I'm drawn to mandalas, but I can't stand Zentangling?
You know, it's interesting because after you had you know, you made that comment to me. We talked a little bit about that. I am in an exhibit right now over at Twiggs Gallery in Boscawen, and it's called A to Z, Art to Zen. And there are a number of contributing artists in this exhibit, and one of them is a certified Zentangle teacher. And my stepmother was with me at the opening, and we were looking at all the artwork, and she took a look at these Zentangle patterns. She was like, oh no, that's just too, like it was like your experience. This seemed very chaotic.
Right.
Now, I think really one of the big differences is that the circle creates a boundary, a very safe container from which to explore. Many of the mandalas that you see, and you can see them in my cover, have a radial balance. They don't have to. A lot of the contemporary ones are asymmetrical, and you can tell they're very intuitively created. But for many people, they find coloring these radial balance, that's where all the shapes are evenly distributed from the center outward. There is a sense of orderliness in it, which can be very grounding and very calming. And so when you're coloring in these patterns that are repetitive, you don't have to think a lot about it. You can come up with what your color palette is and say, all right, I'm going to work with these colors, and then I'm going to alternate them and organize them. And there's a really rewarding and satisfying and a connecting feeling in working within that form. Now, having said that, I love bringing in the design principle of repeating patterns. So what I do, and you can see that in chapter 4 of my book, you can take that concept that's very popular with that Zen Doodle, the Zentangle folks, is that it's a principle of design where you take and you repeat a pattern. So within the shapes of your mandala, you can go in and put some repeating patterns in there to fill it out and give it some depth and all that. And so I would invite you to try, Cindy, creating a mandala like the one that's being pictured here, but then go back and see how much you would enjoy putting in some of those repeating patterns. And see if you can find some enjoyment of finding the Zen in that tangling process, which is finding the repetition of that drawing of that pattern within an organized framework to be relaxing for you.
Right.
So what happens is they do these strings that don't feel, they feel chaotic because they're more random. But I think if you do it within the mandala, you're going to have a very different experience because it will be more organized.
And I like to think I'm an organized person.
You probably are. Yeah.
Not in the studio today, but but I do like organization, and it is more calming to me. So maybe that is the effect. What you're explaining, that is a great way to explain it. So,
if I may say something, I think that Kathryn, really, you don't touch on the Zentangle part about it, but you explain the difference in chapter 1 about organic shapes and geometric shapes. And I think that most of the mandalas that I draw tend to be the organic shapes. And I think that's what Cindy's attracted to, and that, I mean, we're both so much alike in a lot of ways. So even though, we're able to do the geometric shapes, and but we're not mathematical. So I think that repetition it is. I enjoyed coloring them in, but I don't. I've never been successful at drawing them. So unless it's in a circle.
And you're doing great today. I love this new book, Kathryn, because Melissa gave me the okay to go ahead and look through it. I didn't want to break the binding. I wanted to be brand new for her, but she said, go ahead and open it up. And I love your color interpretation page. I just I was talking about that on a few of my blabs last month. I did a series on color, the importance of color in marketing, the importance of color in your appearance, what you wear, what makeup colors you choose, the importance of color on your palette, on your plate, I mean, like eating a rainbow of color, how healthy that would be. And so this whole thing just touched on actually my first blab about the importance in marketing, how people interpret colors.
Yeah. Now, I'd like to jump in, if I may, and talk a little bit about color interpretation. When one is interpreting their mandala, it's a very personal experience, and it's important to, before you start looking outside of yourself at what some of the common meanings are of the colors, to really tune in and reflect on your own personal understanding of color and your own experiences, your own associations. The process of interpreting your mandalas, I'm influenced by the work of Carl Jung, and he believed and put out there that we have a subconscious and we have a conscious brain. And our subconscious communicates to us intuitively and visually when we're creating. And so what is it communicating? It's communicating based on our experiences. So if we have an experience, say, with the color red, I use the example in the book that, one might associate that with romance, with red roses, right? Or passion. Well, I grew up where I used to have a lot of nosebleeds, so I may interpret red, that might come as a flash. Now, I don't think of that every time I use red, but when I'm creating my mandalas, I like to be aware of what thoughts are coming up while I'm making it. What am I reflecting on? What am I feeling? And then after I create it, I'll prop it up and spend some time sitting with it and writing with my journal and looking at it. And what does it remind me of? And so those associations are really first and foremost the most important of anything. Then from there, it's fun to then go and look outside of yourself and notice your reaction. And you're going to see that with the colors, even in that chart, and that chart's not an exhaustive chart of meanings, but you'll see I included both some positive associations and some challenging ones. And some of them contradict one another. So how do you interpret that? Well, what you do is, as you're reading through it, you notice how you react to it. How are you responding? Because it is that response that is communicating your mandala story. Right. So if you're feeling some resistance, that might be something that needs your attention. Or it may be, that doesn't relate. It all depends. So you can tell by whether or not you're energized by it, or if you're feeling an aversion, if it's like bumming you out, that sort of thing. So it's a little bit about how we work with color as we interpret our mandalas.
And this is what I love about you, Kathryn, and how I connected with you on a deeper level, because you are an amazing coach and you help people really look within and be their best selves and do the self-care and through the artwork. But even if somebody isn't an artist, that's why they have the guidebook is so wonderful, because you can learn. And that's how I learned, because I started as just what you call so eloquently a colorist. I colored those mandalas for so long until I thought, I can't keep coloring, I need to create. And I watched her video, and it was the simplest how-to video, and this is a similar experience that Cindy told me that she had, because you want to start with a circle, but you have to start with the center, and that just says that you can correlate that to your life so easily.
Great metaphor for centering yourself, and then from there moving outward. Because you're drawing it that way, it totally is.
This is just such an awesome book, because it simplifies it. I was afraid to do it, and Melissa said, "Oh, we can do this together," and we did. I've done 2 with her so far, and but
another one today.
Yeah, so I mean, it's really great how you just simplify it. And the other thing you added here also was a color wheel. And
Yes.
I love color wheels.
Color. That's more of the design aspect of it. And how do we arrange colors in a pleasing way?
Right, right. And not everybody knows how to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
Or wait, and it's different for different people. Your favorite colors may not be mine, but this will help give you some ideas of different ways of combining color and even experiment. I encourage people to do a color study where they take a mandala and they color it with different patterns, color combinations to explore the possibilities. Make some discoveries along the way.
Well, speaking of design element, I was showing my friend last night your book and telling her about interviewing you. And she's an interior designer and very just way over the top of my head versed in design, in structural design. And so she's taking a look at it and she was really impressed with the depth of the backgrounds and the way you combine the work and the everything about it. She loved. I don't think she had a concept of how you could carry some little thing that you draw or something like this and make that into a design element that would enhance the look of your home or building. So it was really neat. She was very intrigued.
That's great. That's great. Well, one thing that she probably picked right up on is that I do have a background in graphic design. And so one of my personal missions is to help people to understand the elements and principles of design without it being a dry theory course. So I'm seeping it in little by little and using the language. So example, when we were talking about that Zen doodling, Zentangling, I'm talking not about tangling. That's just their little term. What I'm talking about is the design principle of repetition.
Right.
Pattern. And so my hope is to get people to, as they listen to whenever I'm interviewed or when I do my webinars in my VIP lounge, my community, or whatever I post or write about, that I weave in and I kind of seep in those design elements so that way people start getting a visual literacy. And they can then begin talking about what they see and what they do.
Right. I love that one.
So pretty. And that she also looked at it and saw, she said, what I see when I look at these is fabric and
yes.
Textiles. And I mean, it just can go, it's so wonderful. So exciting. Well, I just wanted to tell you, we're at the time where we should get moving with our do-it-yourself creative art today. And I'd love for you to stay if you can, or at least watch, or as you go about your day. And certainly you can check any of the replays. This is our 4th episode, so we've made some other things that are pretty incredible.
Great.
And we'd love for you to give some parting thoughts, and then I will do my video editing magic and put together a little, 3-minute video for you to put up next week. That'll be great.
Great. That's awesome. I want to thank you both for inviting me. You asked some really good questions. It's always fun talking about mandalas.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Cindy, for allowing us to have this little interview during our show, Sparkle and Inspire with Cindy Harrison and Ms. Meliz. And thank you, Kathryn, for being here. Check her out at 100mandalas.com. And don't forget to go to Amazon. You probably can't wait to win this one. You got to go get your own and buy one for a gift, too. It's on Amazon, right, Kathryn?
It is.
But you can just get 100mandalas.com.
You can find that on my website, 100mandalas.com.
Yeah.
And then you'll see the book and you can order through, it'll connect you to Amazon.
And even if you don't want to draw your own mandalas, this book is really worth it because it has so many elements to it that can relate to more than just the drawing. I mean, that is awesome how you break it down and make it so easy for people to do it. But as an artist, just appreciating your artwork and your combination of colors and the meanings, and I mean, the whole book is just awesome, even if you don't ever draw a mandala.
and And that's coming from an art teacher with over 20 years experience in the acrylic and decorative art. And I just feel so humbled to be on the screen with the two of you. That's like, you know, so much experience and so much talent. And thank you, both of you. I mean, I have to say this, even though we're not on Tinseltown right now, you're both such superstars. You are the people that I want to emulate and show to the world how you're shining and leading by a wonderful example. So thank you so much, both of you. Oh, I'm gonna cry.
Aw, just giving you some props, dear. Giving you some props.
Thank you, thank you. So, all
Okay.
right, so this ends this segment, and now we're gonna get ready to get our supplies. So I gotta go.
Bye, everybody.
Water and,
Bye, Kathryn. Have a great week.
Thanks.
And
thank you.
We'll be in touch.
see you soon, I hope.
You
Yes.
bet.
And good luck with your wonderful book launch. That great
Thank
idea.
you.
All day Facebook.
Thank
I'll be
you.
there, sure.
All right. Get on.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you.